Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you guys are good. I am, or rather, we are here again for another great episode of the Square Podcast. And I'm here with a lovely, lovely guest. What can I say? I'm super excited because this episode has been in the offing for a while. Now, I don't know the reasons why the episode has not come out sooner. The reasons are not apparent to me at this time, right? But it is what it is. You get me? Like that's just how life goes sometimes. You can't really plan for some things or some un unseen seen things that happen. But that is neither here nor there. Okay, so my guest. So today I'm with the wonderful Gbemisola Alonge. Did I say that? Is it Alonge? Did I get that right? Because again, you guys should. I'm so bad at pronouncing Nigerian names. Please, you guys should help me. Is it Alonge? I feel like it's Alonge. Alonge, right?
Alonge.
Jesus, good. You guys should
But you were
advise
close
me.
enough. It's fine.
Alonge. Thank you.
Alonge.
Alonge. Good. I'm learning. We talked about it earlier. I was trying to ask him some Yoruba if I was. He said no. I'm not. I wasn't getting it. But that's neither here nor there, right? So I'm with the wonderful Gbemisola Alonge. She is very passionate about Africa and how we as a people can unlock the potential of the continent. That is the Africans in Africa. Right. She currently works as a consultant for Africa Practice, an organization that supports businesses and individuals by creating tailored solutions to promote inclusive growth and development. Deep breaths. Okay, good. Which can adapt to the dynamic nature of the African landscape. Okay, but before that, right, she worked at Stairs Inc. and she worked as a senior development analyst. How do I know Gbemisola? Interesting. Right, so we'll come back to that. But she's a friend of a friend, right? And he told me that she's essentially my plug to good governance and everything governance policy. So this episode is going to be really exciting. I'm gassed, like I said, it's been in the offing for a while, but things come at the appointed time. We cannot complain too much, right? So how are you doing? How have you been? How's life? We're happy to have you on the square. How have you been and how's your week?
Thanks for having me. I've been good. I'm fine. I'm more often than not these days. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm happy. It's a good life. It's a
God,
good.
I beg. You're doing well. You're enjoying life. You're enjoying Lagos.
I mean, I may not have it all, but
Good.
I may not be enjoying Lagos, but I'm happy.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, how's my week been? Last week was a bit intense, work and stuff. I was working for most of it and I was ill, so that was tough on me. Like it was just hard. But I'm much better now, good now. So yeah, I'm fine.
I love that. And I'm glad, you're feeling better. I'm glad. If you guys can watch the video, check out our clips on Instagram. If you guys watch our clips, you see Gbemisola, she looks lovely. I'm so excited to have her. She made an effort for us. We thank God for our lovely guests. And in terms of me, my week. They want to kill me, but my God is bigger. My clients will not kill me. We honestly we put out we put out some work for our client. They had a big event this week, so we're able to sort of conclude on our deliverable for that. So now I've sort of rolled into another piece of work, and so this week is also going to be hectic. I have deliverable due for Tuesday. How far have I gotten? It's questionable. If my manager can hear this, I'm doing my best, but please cut me some slack. Right? Good. Okay, so thank you guys. So we're just gonna jump in and with the central square. So we'll be right back. Hi guys, so we're back with the central square. We have 3 stories for you today. Some are more interesting than others. Some that's more pressing to my heart as a man who believes, and again we discussed this prior, to the position of a woman, and I guess women come from girl children, right? So it's just so unfortunate that we are where we are. This editorial from the Premium Times, the headline: the illegality of marrying off 100 orphan girls in Niger State. A plan to marry off 100 girls orphaned by the surge of banditry in the local government in Niger State has ignited public outrage and concern over its legality from human rights activists. There is no iota of verifiable evidence that they have reached the country's statutory age of marriage. Therefore, critics demand, and rightly so, that the ceremony should be stopped. Again, super high level. What you need to know, like I said, the link is in the show notes. What you need to know as a listener, a senator in his infinite wisdom said that his own constituency project in Niger State would be he would sponsor the wedding of 100 girls that have been orphaned by insurgency, banditry, criminality. I don't know, whatever word you want to use. His own plan is to fund weddings. That's his wonderful plan.
No, his plan was to marry them.
To whom? Well, he wants to marry all of them.
Marry them. Yes.
Him himself.
Exactly.
No, no, wait. See, that's no, that's no. Okay, wait. Let me let you. I'm taken aback. Is that how the story went? Is that the story? I thought he's marrying them off.
I mean, well, I guess.
Hey, greed. Gbemisola,
So
please
to be
go. I'm
fair, right,
listening. No, you
that
go. I'm
was
listening.
my
I'm listening.
understanding of it, right? Maybe I probably misunderstood it. But either way, whether he's the one that wanted to marry them all or he wanted to marry them off to the structures in the community, I honestly do not even know how to share them. But I think, you know what, this boils down to culture. It boils
Good.
down to, so for you, right, it's such an absurd thing to say that girls that are like how old, 13 or younger, have to, like, they're thinking of marrying them off, right? So in your mind, it's absurd because in the community where you grew up, in the community where you currently live, it's not a normal thing. Now, in the community where in other communities, let me not say in the community where this lawmaker is from, in other communities, it may not be as absurd. In other communities where, I don't know if you've ever heard of the money wife
I
in the
have not.
southern region. Money
Educated.
wife is a concept where a parent who's indebted to someone basically pays off their debts with
By
their
giving them one of
child.
their girl child. Good.
Exactly.
Girl children, sorry.
So
Good.
exactly. So the girl is basically the money wife. That's what they call them, right? So Tunde Onakoya, the chess master, actually started doing some projects with them,
Yeah.
with the girls, trying to like not rehabilitate them, like train them, teach them, all of that. But it's still a tradition there. Now, the thing with culture is something that becomes a norm. I can't think of a quote, but I'm sure there's a quote to just talk about this. When something becomes a norm, people anticipate it, people even want it. They almost feel bad that they don't have it. So there are communities where people get married at the age of 13. By the time you start hitting 15, you're already looked upon in a derogatory way. Like, who are you? Why are you? You are rejected. You are the rejected stone. Nobody wants
God.
to marry you at 15. So in your mind, right, you think, oh my God, this is insane. In the lawmaker's mind is helping them. As per these children that are now orphans don't want to take care of them. Let's just give them to their husbands so their husbands can take care of them. Because in their minds, right? I mean, you can tell in the way that different communities, right? Sometimes you can tell in the way certain people dress, right? There is a way that young girls dress in certain communities where from an early age you learn to use makeup, you learn to dress a certain way. And I'm not saying this is Niger State. Honestly, this could even just be the lawmakers. I mean, I'm just saying on the one hand, right? This is culture to him, and in his mind, he thought he was doing something right. On the other hand, right, culture and tradition is no excuse for barbarian behavior. Like, honestly, even if it's set in stone, someone must stop it. Mary Slessor stopped the killing of twins. Tunde Onakoya, I don't know, maybe he's trying to stop the concept of money wives. Maybe, like, you should, as a law, he's the Speaker of House of Representatives in Niger State, not just a random lawmaker. As a
No.
speaker, it should be your responsibility to first put a law in place to even stop this barbaric culture where children who are too young to even understand what's going on around them are being married off. So that's the beginning, right? So you cannot say because of culture. If there was no, I mean, he came back to like recall his the announcement and said, oh, he's not marrying them off anymore. So maybe obviously because of the outcry and because of like civil society organizations that come in criticizing him. But without that, if no one said anything, we don't even know how many of these situations have gone unnoticed because it just did not make it to the media. So, and again, culture. Some of their mothers who marry off their daughters, they prepare them for marriage at certain ages. So, I guess the roots is also quite rotten.
I I honestly I don't know, and maybe I just feel very passionate about this sort of thing because because I saw it last week, I said I just left it because I go through articles like during the day. I follow lots of these sort of publications. So I saw it and I was like, I left it, but then he said to continue. I said, I sat down and I said, wait. So again, in your infinite wisdom, this is the best use of resources. Number one. Number two, is there no level of critical thinking that must everybody start to outcry and civil organizations come here and people start to come up in arms for you to realize that, hey, maybe this is not a good idea? Like, can't you just sit down and think critically? I don't know. And like I said, I just think it's ridiculous. I honestly think that there's no need for any of this. There's no, I don't know. Like I said, I just want to use. I wish I could use stronger language, right? Because it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't.
even in the article, it says that, oh no, he claimed that the girls are between 18 and 24. And okay, cool, but like, come on, still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even, and I won't get into it. But all I'll say is that I question how rather, I question his pronouncement in terms of how old the girls are, but that's neither here nor there. The whole process and the whole idea of it is misplaced. The announcement was callous and it's a disgrace. I feel terrible as a Nigerian being affiliated with such a. I don't want to use the word barbaric, but such an archaic practice. You know the the trivialization of like people's lives and destinies and sort of the way they are just sort of sold like cattle or like lamb to the slaughter. I don't know.
I mean,
So as
speaking of,
a woman, so how do you sort of feel as like just like as a Nigerian woman when you hear that your fellow sisters, this is just how they are being auctioned off, like
I hate to
rams
say this,
and things of
but
that nature.
I feel like Nigeria has desensitized me to a lot of things.
Hey,
So things that would typically, ideally, should scare me and should have me up in arms, I'm just like, okay,
it is what it is.
okay, this sucks. Like, but what doesn't? Like, doesn't life as a Nigerian woman every day suck?
Every
I mean, it
day.
doesn't suck, but like, doesn't suck for me. I'm a Christian,
It
so
doesn't suck for me. It's just, prophetic words. You're putting it
yeah.
out there. That's what. But for the perhaps some people who experience things a little bit differently than you do, it can be quite problematic to see this because you see this and you might feel enraged, you might feel disappointed, you might
Ideally,
feel like
I
it's a
should.
disgrace.
Ideally, I should feel all these feelings. I should because honestly, I feel like again, and I think that it's because of how long the marginalization of women has gone on for, the
We spoke about this.
marginalization of
We spoke about
northern
this.
women,
Yeah.
right? So it's because of how long it's gone on for, right? So even I sometimes feel desensitized to like hearing about death in some regions in Nigeria
Yes.
because it's
Because
almost
every
like,
day.
okay, what's new? Like, and I hate to feel that way because these are lives, like these are literally human beings, and these are human beings. I've experienced loss of a very close family member. So I know what loss, I know what losing someone feels like. So I'm like, literally 100 women, 100 girls lost their parents. They probably have to struggle to fend for themselves. They're probably exposed to all sorts of vices. They probably don't even know how to. I mean, well, they're coming out and say, oh, they'll marry them off. I mean, I'm very, very certain that they're exposed to like sexual assault, they're exposed to like physical assaults in some cases, they're exposed to like starvation, just honestly, a quality of life that's just below normal, right? So I'm sure that they're exposed to all of that. And I'm sure that they feel all these things, right? So in my mind, I'm like, again, I feel like I'm desensitized to it, and largely of because I'm trying to protect my mental health as well.
Hmm.
Oh my
I get
god.
that. I get that.
I don't dip. I try as much as possible, and I hate to be this person and I hate to feel like this, but honestly, there's only so much that I can take before I personally lose my mind.
Definitely.
So I don't dip a lot of news things. Like, I read the headline and move along fast because there's only so much you can take. And I
I,
respect activists and people who fight on our behalf because honestly, they're not just fighting for the 100 girls that are getting sold, they're fighting for me too. Because decrying such a thing prevents it from being normal there or reduces the normality there and reduces the normal, like no one wants to come and try it in other parts as well, right? In other parts where I'm also affected. So it's not just a fight for the 100 girls, it's a fight for like the 100 and something million Nigerian women and girls. It sucks that honestly, I genuinely don't feel strongly about a lot of things anymore because I feel like I've just felt so strongly for so long, and now I'm just like
you're tired. A little bit tired. A little bit
very
drained.
tired.
A little bit drained.
Very, very tired. And I don't like as we're talking about it, I noticed like even my voice started to like increase. So when I start to dip it, I start to feel quite emotional about it, and I
I
for my
don't worry.
sanity.
I have the emotions for you. It's an absolute travesty. Where are we going as a people? We must reject these things whenever we see them. They cannot fly.
Yeah,
They are embarrassing. They
so
are
embarrassing.
archaic. They are. I don't even know. I'm just thinking again the right PC word to use. Right? If I could say what I want to say. In fact, I might have to lock off this episode.
Uh-huh.
Because I just don't understand. And again, is this where we are falling as a people? We were discussing it literally prior. All these things are new developments. This is not who we
Mm,
are as a people. This is not what we represent as Africans, right? Before the British came and said, "Oh, this was Nigeria. This one is that." As Africans, we don't do this. Children were
mm,
protected from all these things. They're not parts of these sort of engagements. The right of a woman to choose and to have autonomy over her life was protected, was well established. It didn't need to be discussed, or there didn't need to be activism for it. There was no activism at that time. Well, there was, but it wasn't sort of like this, and it wasn't necessarily because women, their place in society was set in stone at that time. Their voices were heard, their opinions were important, they were vital because they are literally half of everyone, right? So I don't know
mhm.
how we sort of embrace this sort of, and I'm so sorry for anybody that's offended. Like, all these things are Western ideals that have come and have just sort of changed the way we perceive our fellow women, our sisters, our mothers, whatever you want to call them, but just women that are African, right? I don't know where this has come from. It's ridiculous. I pray that that we're just able to sort of get our heads out of this mess and just sort of be able to think and focus on real issues. If you want to do a project, Mr. Speaker, think about doing road, right? If you can't do road, I don't
I
know.
mean, setting up a house, setting up an orphanage, setting
Yes,
up a place for these people to actually live
a
and
learning
actually
center. If you can't even do house, it's where they can come during the day, learn things. It may not be education, but maybe soft skills, vocational skills, tailoring, bead making, soap making, all these things that
mm-hmm,
they normally love to call projects in all these states. And I saw somebody giving away clay pots in one. I don't know which state that was. Someone was giving away clay pots as their project, but I prefer clay pots to this travesty.
mm-hmm.
The clay pot person is doing well. I'm proud of you because you're not doing this nonsense, right? But anyways, they, they told me that I should stop ranting, so I will leave it. No problem. It's okay. Anyways, you guys, we're back with our lovely guest, Gbemisola. Do you prefer Gbemisola or Gbemi? I don't know. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Gbemi? You don't
Anyone
care?
else?
Anyone is
Mm-hmm,
fine. You don't give a toss.
mm-hmm.
I read that.
Maybe
Okay.
Gbemisola Sola.
Ooh, I
anymore.
like solar. That sounds nice.
Mm.
Keep that in mind. Okay, Goose. We're just gonna sort of dive into it, right? Femi, we're going to enter it very, very deeply. We're gonna go for the jugular. We have a population, where like about 70% of the people are sub 30. It's under the age of 30. Um, and it's really interesting because like we're over 200 million people, so it's a very, very substantial amount of population that are, in my opinion, young people. Right? We can call them young people. Sub 30 young people. What do you, because again, and lots of the countries in the West, they're sort of battling with aging populations and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
perhaps, and I don't know if you see it as an advantage or not, I'm not really sure. Maybe you can tell us, but what do you think we can sort of do with that? How can we sort of leverage this sort of position we're in? And do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing that there are so many young people in the country?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Is it a blessing or a curse? It's only a blessing if you have a large population of productive young people. So it's a blessing if you have productive young people because if they're top 30, that means that for the next 30 or so years, at least 30 years, because our um, retirement age is 60. So for the next 30 or so years, you have a huge population that are continuously productive. And obviously, productive people make up a productive country, right? That's when it's a blessing. Now, it's a curse when you have a huge number of unproductive young people because you have 30 years for them to, and they're young, they have energy. They are at most, like, they're at their most needy stage of their lives
Definitely.
because they're trying to develop, they're trying to grow them, and not to make them sound like children or anything, but they're trying to develop, they're trying to, like, fend for themselves. It's at this stage where they become adults and like they want to, go out in the world to help. In some cases, and in Nigeria as well, actually, this is not just that the majority of the people are below 30, is that they're below 18. So the majority are actually 18 and below. And that's worse because they're still dependents. Dependents. Like, they still need support. Now, even with that support, there is no, so what we have in Nigeria is a situation where we have a small group of people doing all the work. And the rest of the country is basically depending on them for survival. Right? So that makes it a curse. And it becomes a curse even more because an a large population of unproductive people can be quite destructive because they need to fend for themselves, they need support, they need to survive, and they do whatever they can, right? They have the energy to do whatever it is that they can to survive, and that doesn't always bode well. Now, what's a productive population? A productive population are people who are able to multiply things, right? They're able to invest their time, they're able to invest their resources. They're able to basically turn the country around, right, with their time and their resources. And this is not always the case, right? So you have a situation where Nigerians are not always like, okay, that's the productive population. The productive population is typically educated, and now they don't have to be Western educated, right? But they are educated enough to produce for themselves. They're educated enough to multiply the resources that the country has and, help the country grow. Nigeria, back to Nigeria. Our population is not very educated. And basic education, nothing dramatic.
Nothing
Well, I mean,
fancy.
nothing fancy. Basic education, English, math, or literacy is not always English. Literacy, math. Fun fact, I learned that in some schools in some parts of Nigeria, they teach subjects in other language. So they teach. So I know someone who he used to be my colleague at a particular place. He learned math in Yoruba. Exactly.
What does that even mean? What does that? What does that translate to?
Addition, they say it's in Yoruba.
What's the Yoruba word for addition?
I don't know.
You will know.
He
Let
actually
us
told
know.
me. He
Please
actually told
educate
me
us.
like addition, multiplication, division, everything. Because to be very honest, right, if you learned it in French, do you think they'll speak English? if you learned math in France? If you learn math in Benin Republic, do you think they'll speak English?
This is stressful. This is
Or
stressful.
if you learned it in Togo, do you think they teach math in English there? They probably teach it in French.
But we're not in Togo. We're in
But
Nigeria.
you and exactly, you're in Osun State,
Oh,
where most people speak English. Imagine teaching, okay, a child learns English in class, sorry, at home. Everybody speaks Yoruba, sorry, everybody speaks Yoruba to a child. They grew up learning Yoruba. When they go to the market, they speak Yoruba. When they go to wherever they go to in church, the hymns, the hymn books are in Yoruba. Now, you now take that child to school and teach him math in English. That is the first recipe for failure because number one, you have taken him away from his comfort zone. He does not understand. Like, you first have to translate it to English, and then so you're teaching English and math in the math class.
so are you saying that they should teach in local dialects?
I think if they, I, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but I think that sometimes I don't think it's abnormal. I thought it was very exciting. I was very excited by the idea that they were teaching in, like, the person learned, and he was actually pretty good at math. I thought it was very, very interesting that he learned his math in Yoruba.
I won't even say define pretty good because the engineer in me wants to jump out and attack, but I will
And
leave
you
it as
can,
I
but
will not.
I'm
I
pretty
reject it. I will
certain
not.
that it is not, because honestly, it's math, right?
Right?
You don't need English to learn math.
Oh my
It's
god.
numbers, it's symbols. You
Oh my
don't.
god.
You're
Why?
only saying this because you learned in English.
Hey, listen, they leave me out of it.
No, because if you were French,
it
would you
just
have learned
stresses me.
your math in English, or if you were Portuguese, or if you were, yeah, most likely not.
If I
So
was
yeah,
Dutch. Okay, no,
if you were
I
Dutch,
see.
sorry, would you learn in? If you were, do they teach math in English in China,
I don't
guys?
know, but the math in China is
No,
pretty good. I question Yoruba maths in
in
Osun State.
India.
That's
Why
all
do
I'm
you question
saying.
Yoruba math in Osun State? I'm very curious.
I
Why?
question it. I question it
Why?
strongly.
Why?
The ideas are not marrying very well in my head. It's not marrying.
Maybe you
And
need to
again,
check what you have against Yoruba language.
hey, I'm being set up. Like I'm being set up, but it won't work.
But let's go back to the topic. Let's
Right.
not
We're
digress.
diverting a bit, but you were talking about the sort of the sort of the opportunity it is and how,
Yeah.
as a people we're not perhaps educated to levels where, in my opinion, are acceptable.
Yeah, so I think that, and I remember writing an article some time ago where I was talking about how university education is not the only shouldn't be the only route to success in Nigeria. In many countries, right, basic education is compulsory, and that's because basic education, when strong, gives you the tools you need to survive in this world, gives you the tools you need to set up a business, gives you the tools you need to function as any job. So typically the route or route to advanced to working in the labor force is typically a university education or vocational training. But in Nigeria, it's almost like, I mean, it's still the route in Nigeria, it's still the route in Nigeria, but it's almost like you can't succeed at a large scale if you don't have a university education, and that shouldn't be. Now, so
Exactly.
back to the whole case of whether we have it, like, how do we maximize our large population? First thing is by educating them, by giving them proper, very, very strong foundational learning, foundational education, basic education, early childhood education, at like infancy, kindergarten should be strong, primary, nursery school strong. You don't even need secondary school if we're keeping it 100. Like, you don't need that for people to survive. Just give them the basic tools that they need up until the end of primary school and they'll be fine. Second thing is you need a healthy population.
Which is
How do
my
we
healthy?
maximize good health?
Like physical health.
Physical health, physical
Okay.
and mental health.
Okay.
right? So you need a healthy population, and that's because there's one statistic, and I'm not very sure about it. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's a period within a child's life when their brain develops the most. I think it's the first 10 days. First 10 days of a child's life are so critical to like the rest of like their lives. A child who is improperly fed within the first 10 days of their lives, their brain would not develop as well as a child who was well fed.
Wow.
That means that healthcare at that stage is so critical, meaning that we need to reduce, like literally at childbirth, we need to reduce mortality rates at the childbirth level. We need to ensure that like the mother is fit enough, so the hospital is good enough to birth the child, is also good enough to ensure that the mother is fit enough to feed the child. Because once you lose that 10-day window gap, the child is unlikely to be functional for the rest of their lives, or unlikely to function as optimally as someone who was fed for the rest of their lives. So
Wow.
healthcare at that stage is very critical. Healthcare as a whole, right? And that's something I remember having a conversation with someone about this. We belittle how impactful good health is. A healthy population can function better, they can work better, they have better cognitive skills, they have better critical thinking skills, right? Without these, like without these good health, like, and it's not just health, right? It's healthcare, like hospitals, it's nutrition, back to like again, and this might not be what you were expecting, like the answers would be for like how to maximize our young population,
It was
but
not,
it's
no.
so critical. Human capital development, healthcare, education, so important. Now that you have a healthy and a
Educated
literate
population. Oh,
population,
sorry, literate. Why even? Because you said
because
basic,
honestly,
basic.
it's basic
It's
education.
super basic. Okay.
Yeah. Then you want to maximize, you want to develop or at least encourage industries that are very labor intensive. You want to use the population either by exporting them, everybody go out and make money and send your money
Then
back home,
exported. Oh my god.
or by creating an enabling environment for manufacturers or industries who need your labor force, who need your young population to thrive within your country. Right now, what does that look like? There are business process outsourcing. I mean, that's India's story, right? Being the customer care center of the world. You don't, honestly, what India did was educate their people, help them to learn English. And then, like, all you need for that is know how to use, I mean, not all you need, but what you would use for most of your,
Most
like,
of
for
that,
most
yeah.
of the work is learning how to operate your computer and learning how to speak English.
Super, super,
You're
super,
not
super basic
solving
stuff.
Exactly, you're not exactly solving their problem, you're just helping them navigate it. Typically, when you call MTN customer care, I don't know,
Good.
sorry for the free promo, but like when you call MTN customer care, right? They either help you navigate your problem. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Okay, no worries. I'll direct you to the person who can help. So they would only direct you when your problem is beyond trying this, trying that, giving you options. And essentially, they have to direct you. They're not the ones solving your problem, they have to direct you. Or
Yeah.
sometimes they can, say, okay, I'll solve the problem for you on the back end, right? They are not the ones in charge of solving your problems. So it's important to, put people in Nigeria, for instance, the government has focused a lot on like crude oil exploration. And that is not a labor intensive
It
industry
is not.
at
Hence
all.
why, but we have to give them some props. They're trying to push this sort of agriculture initiative. They've been trying to push, get people onto the farm so that we can almost be self-sustaining, right? So we can sort of produce
But
what we can
even
consume.
that, right, I have a bit of a problem with, because labor intensive agriculture is not it's not exactly productive
It's not,
agriculture.
because the way it is
And
in the West
mechanized
is
farming
yep,
is not as labor intensive. Maybe you need people to harvest, and most
not that
times they
many
actually
people
don't.
though. Yeah,
Right. So again, it boils down to the problem, is this the most productive use of their time?
I don't think so.
So I mean, there's a bit of use what you have. Obviously, if we have the people and we need to plant crops. Please put them on the farm. It's better than nothing. But the problem now is, or what we should be thinking about now is, are they first, are they operating at their optimal? Are they healthy? Are they educated? Or are they literate? Then, is this the best use of their time? So, things like that are what we need to consider. And then that's the ways that we can maximize a large population.
So, in your opinion, and if we use Nigeria as obviously the focal point of the case study, so you think, and I can sort of speak to that in terms of what you said previously, you think that the population could be an asset, right? It could be really, really valuable if we
Definitely.
use it properly, or if we, I beg your pardon, not
Definitely.
use it, but use the people properly, and we give them the tools and skills they need to be able to be productive and
Definitely.
useful contributors to the economy, because a lot of people are dependent, because of their age, are dependent on someone else that is a little bit older, right?
Definitely. Definitely. And like,
Okay.
again, sorry, just to one last let me just beat the horse one last time. Back to the human capital development thing. It might seem like a very little thing, but then a sickly person wouldn't be able to function at work or wouldn't have the strength. Like, let's even use strength, right? If you don't eat, if you're not healthy, you're very limited. You're limited in what you can absorb. You would not be as attentive. You won't be as critical thinking skills require healthy brains.
Definitely.
So you need the people to first be healthy, first be physically fit before you can then ask them to be productive.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gbemi. We appreciate that. And then we'll just jump to the very, very last segment, which is thinking outside the square. Okay, you guys, we're back again. Last segment, thinking outside the square. We're gonna do this really, really quickly. Gbemi, I'm ready for you. I've put on my ski mask. I'm ready. I'm ready to win. Are you ready to play?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, first question. Who discovered electricity? You have 4 options. Isaac Newton,
Mm-hmm.
Nikola Tesla, Michael Faraday, and Benjamin Franklin. You have 2 tries.
Michael Faraday is the computer.
I can't help you.
Isaac Newton is a light bulb. Light bulb and electricity are not the same thing.
I cannot help you. But
I
Isaac
think
Newton
it's
is the guy that
Nikola
apple
Tesla.
fell on his head. That's all I can tell you.
Don't be embarrassing myself. Okay, that's the gravity guy.
Yes, F equals to MA.
Okay, so it's not, obviously it's not Benjamin Franklin. It's not Isaac Newton. I want to say, so I know Nikola Tesla had a bit of a, someone
I'll
stole
give
his
you a
idea.
hint. I'll give you a hint. It is
Light bulb
not.
is electricity.
It is not Tesla, and it is not Newton. Those are my hints. But now you only have 1 try. You only have 1 try. You only have 1 try. I've removed 2 for you. It's not Tesla. It's not Newton. It's between Faraday and Franklin.
Faraday.
Is that your final answer?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. It is Benjamin Franklin who got electricity. It is Franklin.
Is that not the American president?
Was he a president? He was an American inventor. He was an American inventor. But don't worry.
Oh, there was a. Oops! Oh my God! I'm so bad at this. But he was also a president.
Was he? I don't know if he was president. I have no idea. Okay. Next question. What is the motto of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC? You have options. Success is power. Service and humility. Knowledge is power. After service comes gain. What is the motto of NYSC? Because I know you went to camp.
Service and humility.
Are you sure? Is that your final answer? Under the sun and in the rain. That's your answer, Abi. Good. That is the answer. Congratulations. Good. Okay, next question. What is the highest grossing film of all time? Titanic, Avatar, Avengers Endgame, Star Wars, The Force Awakens.
Avengers Endgame.
Are you
It's
sure?
either that or Avatar.
Are you
I had my 2
sure?
tries, right? Oh,
Are you sure?
I
Are
had my
you
2
sure?
tries, right?
You have 2 tries. I'm not helping you on this one.
Avengers Endgame.
That is correct. My gosh, this is not hard enough. Good. Which famous Nigerian novelist was the author of Things Fall Apart, Turning and Turning in the Something Grey? The falcon cannot see the falconer. The center does not hold. The things fall apart. Great book. You said Chinua Achebe. Is that your answer?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Don't confuse me. It's Chinua Achebe.
You have to. Have you read the book? 2 tries.
Okay, give me your options. It's
There are
definitely
no.
Chinua Achebe.
What is this? No, there are no options. You have 2 tries. This one there's no option.
Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe.
That is right. Chinua Achebe, the late great Chinua Achebe of blessed memory, great guy.
Mm,
Anyways, so yeah, that was great. Thank you so much, Gbemi. We
thanks for
appreciate you going to
having me.
the episode. It's so sad that you have to run off. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Do you have any sort of final words for us before we run off?
This was a fun conversation. Thanks for having me. I
Right.
appreciate it.
I'm glad you had fun. I had fun. I had a great time as always. Thank you guys for listening. Gary, do you want them to follow you on social media? Do you want them to see where you're at? Do you want people to sort of locate you?
Yeah, I mean, my era of like tooting my horn. Yes, you can find me on social media at Gbemisola Alonge, on all my social media.
I
Gbemisola
love
Alonge on
that. We'll
Instagram.
follow you on the podcast because we follow all our guests together.